It's Mark Stewart. Here's two more for the DTC and any Democrats who want to listen, and from members of the 4 Northern Connecticut DTCs that sent us questions. These are ones we couldn't get to on April, I think it was 9th. I'm here to address them. Number 8 now. With Connecticut's anti-Malloy sentiment, how will you convince voters to vote Democratic? Well, I'm not anti-Malloy. This is very important. Malloy hasn't been great, but let's make a comparison. We've had 3 horrible predecessor governors, and they're all Republicans. Okay? Rell, Rowland, Weicker. They should know better. Republicans usually spout fiscal responsibility. They didn't deliver. I hate when Republicans get into power. Their principles go out the window. Malloy has more principles that he stood in, and he was voted in by a majority that wanted to be more progressive. Okay? You can't fault him for that. And he has slimmed government to some extent, and he's a fierce, feisty. We need that in government. Okay? Not pushovers. The biggest indictment is of the General Assembly. And that has been Democrat controlled. So it is a problem, and it is a reason why the next General Assembly is probably going to be red. Okay? We have been, as Democrats, rightly blamed. Okay? Those Republican governors went along with it, and frankly, Republicans in the General Assembly didn't put up enough to stop things. Okay? Things like bonding after bonding after bonding. Ladies and gentlemen, those bonds add up. They can't add, or I think they can add, and they just expect other people to pay for concurrent people. That's what has to end, and that is a tenet of Democrat Party that I do believe needs to change. I am a forceful advocate for that. I, Blue Mark Greenstein, want to make sure that we are a moderate party and fiscally very tight. One thing that we can do to keep people voting Democrat is show that Democrats actually do like business. You don't see that very often, especially among small businesses. You go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, they're all Republicans or they're independents, and they don't want to come near Democrats. That can and should change. We should be a party that likes small business, and a party that, if anything, might be against the big business tethering that they do with big government. My goal is to extricate, get rid of much of the big government and the benefits it gives to big corporations. That lets individuals and small companies really thrive. Once again, a better General Assembly is absolutely necessary, and that's where the Democrats may get pilloried if they keep putting up candidates who just want to vote for high pensions, high bonds, high education spending without regard to the future. Number 2, please discuss the importance of protecting collective bargaining rights for public sector unions. I believe in collective bargaining, but I believe it should be hard bargaining on both sides. So, on behalf of workers, they need collectivity, many of them do, because they can't voice themselves as well. They don't bargain individually with a lot of force. They might not know the other opportunities that are available to them. So, getting together as a union, public or private, is absolutely warranted. Here's what's unwarranted. The state in cahoots with them instead of acting like a normal employer. In private, normal employers look to unions to say, what are you going to do for me? If you're asking for higher wages, you got to be more productive. You got to train your people better. You got to be at work more diligently. That's what the state needs to be asking for. Okay? With that kind of demand, I think we'll get a better labor force. I think we could be prepared to pay them more, collectively or individually. I want a good labor force in the state of Connecticut, but I don't want to see collective bargaining as a tool for propping up unresponsive workers, ones who don't really want to help their constituents. They want to punch a clock, get a check, leave at 4:01, get a pension when they're 38 years old. Okay, that has to stop. And the pension ridiculousness, it should be apparent by now that you can't expect people to work for a mere 20, 25 years and get paid for 45. Okay, they're not doing anything at that time. We can't be controlling the cost of living they incur, their longevity, whether they marry somebody really young and then we're on the hook for maybe 70 years instead of just 45. So that ends here. Okay, there will be no pension signed into a Governor Stewart agreement. It won't happen. Now, the trade-off, though, is the young worker coming to the state of Connecticut might see a better salary, may be able to, almost certainly will, invest the extra money and do even better because those pension funds aren't returning anywhere near their expectations. Private funds do better. I'm empowering people to do well with their savings, and the risk is the risk that everybody else takes. No more, no less.